Hey y'all, thank you. Thank you all again for the birthday wishes. It doesn't stop. Emails just keep on going. So I want to tap in and share with you what to expect in a breath guide training, its certification, what does it entail. So we are going to be the first breath academy, if you will, or breath training to tackle a deviated septum. I have yet to see online testimonials aiding in deviated septums using breath. So I'm going to go into step by step with this training as well of how one tackles that, and I want to be leading this academy and leading the group of initiates, if you will, to really tackle this situation and tackle this issue. Because if you go on YouTube and type in deviated septum and read the comments for yourself of what people go through, of not being able to just simply breathe through a simple source. Even after surgery, they're still complaining. There's also suicidal as well. So that plays a huge role into mental health. And I'm like, why is this not talked enough in the quote unquote breath space? Why is this not talked about in the holistic space enough? So we come in with receipts because I've been posting testimonials for over 5+ years now, and you can all go on my YouTube. It's all there. I always, we already knew this day was coming, and I wanted to do this right. I didn't want to just do a next teacher training or whatever. This is going to be very intimate. And even before the training, we're going to do Zoom calls. I really want to get to know every single one of you, where your mind is at. Another thing is I'm going to also help promote you as well. So when you're done the certification, we're going to have a new website as well, where it's going to be attached to my main website, but people can go on and see the list of where everyone's from, and they want to do in-person events as well. You would send me the details, and then my team would market it out there as well. Whatever you're doing, we're going to support each other. And that's the main point. I haven't seen enough schools do something like that, because I want to build a long-term relationship. That's what Alchemy Breathwork is about, longevity. Because this year, you'll be seeing certain methods out there when it comes to breathing and ice baths and stuff that's actually killing people. And yet, if you have that method and it's killing people, why haven't you addressed it all these years? That just says a lot. You can go look it up. XY method lawsuit. It's coming. It's coming, and you won't be able to really promote it as much in the US because there is a staggering statistic when it comes to particular methods that is not parasympathetic. I've been preaching that there's a difference in breathwork. People don't want to listen. They just want to go hop on trends, right? Until X years later, and you're like, hey man, you were right. I tried the flutter breathing, and compared to the exhale pressure breathing, I feel more calm and zen. I have more centered in my body. I came from alcohol issues, etc. I tried this method and it still didn't work, because you're not just addicted to the substances, you're also addicted to the breathing pattern. And those substances are they activate the sympathetic nervous system. So why would you want to hence breathe more life into the sympathetic nervous system? Why not have a parasympathetic focus where home is, homeostasis, and have fun with it? We're going to be going over how to make certain subliminal breath tracks, why you want to use subliminal breath tracks, how to use subliminal breath tracks even though your client isn't hearing it. How is that affecting them low key in the long run? A lot of people don't know that, but when I'm having one-on-one with people, I actually record the sounds of the sessions, and I actually I stack it, where then we hop in a session randomly and they go deeper and deeper, and even they don't even realize until the end, like, wow, how are we going deeper and deeper? The breath leaves a trail. The breath is information. And if you don't believe me, there's going to be new technology where you can blow into. There's already, it's like, I think it's called Lumen or something like that, where you can blow into it. It tells you your calories 10 plus years in the future, you're gonna see more tech out there where you can blow into and it'll tell you even more things. What type of diseases you have, your stress levels. It's gonna tell you more things because there's so much information in your spirit, hence your breath. And I'm here in Bali right now, and they have so much beautiful incense here, and they understand the aspect of spirit. I can feel it. I mean, the essence around here. It's very, very powerful. And I see Yadi on here. Hey, brother. And Yadi is working on a custom piece for the nose whistle, which I will be gifting every single initiate hopping in the academy. And if Yadi can come up with something where it's still going to be 528, but it's going to be different tones, where you're going to be, because this is already C sharp. So he's working on something where it can be F sharp and you can play different melodies. So I'm hoping before I leave, we can figure that out, brother. So it's just a beautiful thing. I can hop into so many different countries and just connect with the spirits here and the people here and the essence here. It's very powerful. I feel home. It's, Asia is definitely home for me. I have past lives here for sure. So we start in April. It's going to be a whole month. You can come in person. You don't have to come to all the in-person sessions. That's totally up to you. We don't house you, by the way, so that's your responsibility. It's also online and also recording as well. The recordings are also there. And we're also going to have a Q&A always towards the end of the week. So we go over certain stuff, reinforce certain stuff, and also simplify something that may look complex. And the reason why it may look complex, if you feel that alchemy breathwork is somewhat complicated, is because I meet people where they're at. That's why it may seem a certain way, but there is a foundational basis that we don't just focus on techniques, we focus on the aspect of principles. Because from techniques stem from principles. Just like all the different ancient practices connect with religion somehow, right? It's the principle foundational basis that the techniques are sprouted and brought from. So we want to go deep in the aspect of understanding how the foundations work and the beauty of meeting people where they're at versus saying that, hey, you need to breathe like this, you need to do this stance, you need to do this stance. If someone is paralyzed, you think it makes sense for them to do certain things? No, that's not fair. And that's what alchemy breathwork is about, meeting people where they're at and alchemizing and building upon that. And that's what it's about. So we start in April, and we also have payment plans as well. We also have scholarships as well. We're actually working on the academy site before I go exploring some more out here. And I just want to give my thanks to every single one-on-ones that I've done with people, group sessions, event sessions. So that's another thing. We're also going to go over how do you curate group? How do you curate group events? How do you curate group sessions, or how do you deal with also couples? So we're also going to dive into the couples realms as well. And there's a beautiful fun play with that as well when it comes to breath, also scalar movement as well. We're also going to be equipping every single one of you with plasma projectors. We had a hiccup yesterday and we just got to the bottom of that. So we're going to be equipping everyone with plasma projectors as well, on top of the 528 nose whistle. And then, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do another training the rest of the year, because maybe next year we may do it in different places. We may do it in Jamaica. We may do it in Bali. We may also do it in Canada. Maybe, we'll see. Canada, I'm still waiting, but I'm so open to collaborate. If you have a center and you want to have the training over there, we're totally open for collaboration. And if you as a breath guide instructor, alchemy breath guide instructor, have an event, I'm also going to push it out through my own newsletters as well, through my own channels. So we're going to be supporting each other non-stop. We're going to keep it flowing and really also tackle the deviated septum aspect. So the more breath guides there are, the more we can also funnel into a specific channel that have a lot of people dealing with deviated septums and aid them into, finding their breath again, even if they're wearing a mask. If you saw Dane's testimonial, where he had a deviated septum, he had surgery, and he still couldn't breathe, because people don't realize, even if you have surgery, the muscle fibers, I'm not going to say it's a scam or anything, but the muscle fibers, they still, it's still going to be hard to breathe. If you don't use it, you lose it. So we're going to go over different mechanisms of dealing with a deviated septum, and why certain parts of the body also connects with parts of the nose and the breath, of how the volume, pressure, environment as well. Environment is a big thing when it comes to breathing. If you're in a cold environment, the aspect of pressure plays a big part. If you're in a hot environment, pressure, your pressure is very important. If you're in a hotter environment, your blood vessels are dilated. They're already open. So should you be breathing harder or softer? Things of that nature. So we're also going to be going over how to use the scalar projector with your breath work, and also the aspect of mirror neurons, and also going over some stuff I haven't even done publicly, of using the projector to remotely send energy to people during sessions and stuff of that nature, and taking it layer by layer. And if you guys have any questions, DM me, message me. If you want to become a breath guide, just comment guide if you want more details on that. And before the breath guide training, we're going to have January, February, March. We're going to have about six sessions just to get to know each other on Zoom calls. It's optional, but I definitely want to get to know you guys and also build a schedule. So the more I get more details of where everyone's from, the easier I can build my schedule. I don't care if I personally have to wake up 4 a.m., 3 a.m. I barely quote unquote sleep. I like to rest. That's different than sleep. So we're also going to dive into the biology of what sleep is and what quote unquote rest is, and the difference in that. And we're also going to go over the brain scans that I've done over the years, showing what alchemy breathwork can do via visual concepts, via mental concepts, beyond the aspect of just inhale and exhale. So we're going to go over mental breathwork. We're going to go over color breathing. We're going to go over so many different layers while having fun. What's the difference? You're a breathwork instructor. The difference is, this is more parasympathetic. The difference is, how do you deal with deviated septums? Because not many breathwork trainings out there even tell you how to deal with deviated septums. So that is also going to be the main staple as well. If you're already a breathwork instructor, this is definitely for you regardless, because I'm going to show you many layers of what also mental breathwork is doing beyond the inhale, the exhale, or the aspect of just techniques. We're also going to go into lifestyle. How do we implement the lifestyle and making it into a reality, a full-blown reality beyond just one concept? Because life is random. So why are we not honoring life and the randomness that life has, right? So we're gonna go over mental concepts that connects with breath concepts and bring them into unison. So that's the difference. And the difference is, it's honoring the different spectrums of life, and not just putting breath in just one box. Breath is very multi-dimensional. Sound. We're gonna go over the sound myths, that you need to be silent on your breath, etc. There's no such thing as a silent breath when the wind itself is technically your exhale. You ever thought about that? You are literally breathing in Caesar's breath. There's a whole book on that. I made a whole blog on that as well, with book references and also scientific references as well within those books. You can research yourself with, to really go beyond, again, putting breath in a box when it has so many layers, from someone being paraplegic or in paralysis, being able to feel their legs. That's how powerful your breath is. For them, hearing people in wheelchair, doing sessions with them, able to feel their legs for the past 13 plus years for the first time. Breath is consciousness, and that's what it really is. It's more than just the inhale, exhale. It's contrast, and it's honoring the contrast. We're also going to go into scalar movement and how atomic movement is a lost art in the aspect of Qigong and Qigong as well. So we're gonna go from the foundational aspects of life and build upon that. So any questions here? I agree. Okay. Hey guys, don't comment now with the guide. I'm gonna post this afterwards, and then you can comment guide, and then I'll message you, or someone from my team will message you the link. All right, so bear with me. Any questions before I hop off? I think I went over mainly the basics here. And time-wise, don't worry about time. I think depending on the amount of people that sign up as well, I'll be dividing the times in different time zones, so that won't be an issue. And you're more than welcome to also hop on if you want to if you want to reinforce some of the knowledge, and if you didn't get your answer, if you didn't get to say a specific question, then you can hop back on. Let's say I'm doing Europe, a Pacific time zone, and I'm doing the West Coast at a Pacific time zone. You're more than welcome to hop back into that Zoom call and ask the questions you want to ask. Why do you emphasize the importance of parasympathetic breathing? Again, it's homeostasis, and most of society is already breathing in sympathetic. All the way down to the sound, down to the lights, is increasing your cortisol levels, which puts you more in sympathetic resonance. And when you're in sympathetic resonance, you can't heal as fast as you want to, no matter how quote-unquote healthy your diet is. There's people that have the healthiest diet, but their mindset is still whacked off because of maybe traumas as well. So the deeper we go into parasympathetic, the deeper we can peel off certain traumas. And you can call this more of the integral way versus a technique or an event that's supposed to be, Healing is not an event, it's a journey. And when the parasympathetic gets built on in terms of the awareness and the connection with the parasympathetic breath, the more you start to realize the layers day by day start to peel, certain traumas start to peel, versus just one main, people think healing is just one big event, but it's a journey. And the more you honor that journey with those layers, implementing it in your lifestyle versus technique, that's the difference. The layering and the journeys will give you a deeper resonance of peeling off certain traumas and dealing with certain traumas in a more soothing way. It won't hit you until maybe day 5 or day 3 of being consistent with it, and you're like, oh wow, I don't get mad at little things like this anymore. I just noticed, hey, I've been doing one-on-ones with people, and then it'll be month 2, and they're like, you know what? Oh yeah, I haven't been craving this. I haven't been craving that. I haven't been diving into that bad habit. I haven't been diving into this addiction. Layers and layers. And then you also will start to become aware of how time starts to also like slow down. But not just slow down, you're just more aware of how time flows. And that's the aspect of your conscious, the conscious and the subconscious. So what I've also proved with alchemy breathwork as well, we can induce the theta brain state as well. And the more we induce the theta brain state, the more you're more connected with your subconscious in real time. So that's the difference with alchemy breathwork. If you want to ask me what's the difference between this method, that method, it's breathwork that you can utilize in real time. Someone that's dealing with social anxiety, you want to huff and puff in the middle of a conversation? Things like social cues and mirror neurons, utilizing that for their benefit. Where to stare and how to connect with your breath in a conscious way back and forth when you're having a conversation with somebody. Little details like that. And we're gonna go over not the aspect of diagnosis, but whatever your client is dealing with, etc. We're gonna go over how the mental aspect of the mental breath work can mesh with any corresponding quote-unquote dis-ease, if you will, and make it easier for the person to aid in their journey of healing for the best. So if people ask me, how did you heal XYZ, I don't tackle everything as like a quote-unquote doctor. I tackle everything in the basis of everything is connected with breath, even down to the connection with that person's cancer, or said the C word, or that person's bad habits, or that person's addictions. They were breathing at the time they got the cancer, right? So the breath is a powerful tool to surgically go deep in the subconscious and the layers of the muscle, especially with scalar movement. We're going to go into that and utilize that to pull or harmonize with what that layer is inducing. Interesting you say this. I change things so much, I never put it down to my practice. See, and that's the difference with the alchemy breathwork. It implements the aspect of lifestyle versus, let me just sit down here for 1 hour, let me just sit down here for 5 minutes. We honor the fact that man-made time is truly somewhat man-made in a particular degree. Inhale for 4.5 seconds. When in reality, your subconscious is saying, wait a minute, but isn't it 8.3 seconds? Your subconscious mind and the conscious mind have two different understandings when it comes to time. So why are we counting time when we should be counting breaths? Why are we focus on quality time when we should be focusing on quality breaths? That's the difference. With all due respect to all the breath practices out there, that's the difference. Facts. This is man-made. Time is man-made. Yeah, if you go more into the indigenous tribes and stuff like that, shout out Naira. If you go and spend some time in there, quote unquote time, they have a total different understanding and feeling when it comes to nature's clock and man-made, man-made's time, if you will. And that's what some of these indigenous tribes and people, when they go into their ceremonies and journeys and even hours of the mantras, right? Especially here, time, what is time? And you feel it here. That's why when people come here specifically, the veil is so thin. Some people can't even sleep. Some people can't sleep the first couple nights. That's how thin the veil is here. Do you astral project? I astral echo. So we're going to be talking about things like echo breathing. Why are we pulling out the soul harshly out the body, right? Why don't you get in the mindset of like, hey, this is the source where God, Allah, the creator, whoever you think gave you life, is emanating from. Keyword emanating from. Why are we, let me sleep and rest and pull out my spirit? That's why you'll hear a bunch of different horror stories when it comes to astral projection, and some people will call it demonic, etc. When in reality, you're just doing it a different way to induce a different experience, right? There's no such thing as a quote-unquote bad experience when it comes to plant medicines or ceremonies, etc. It's how you go about doing it. You can do it in a harmonious way, or a forceful pulling way. Where I personally, when I used to I like to call it astral echo, where we do an echo breathing, and we also use mirrors as well when it comes to echo breathing, and get in the habit of learning to expand what's within versus pulling out. You have this body for a reason. You have this vehicle for a reason. This, if you want to ask me what meditation is, it's being in this body. You know, meditation, you can think of, one single focus. Well, you're in one single body. And then when you quote unquote dream, etc., you're actually dream hopping in multiple different bodies in different times and space. And that's a different story. And the breath is the string. All right. Exactly. All right. Even day to day, it's important. Look at rats, elephants. Yeah, that's another thing. The turtles and everything you talked about in terms of longevity. Here, I'm gonna post this. So alchemy breathwork is a longevity practice. Animals, they're breathing in parasympathetic. When you look at the cheetah and the lion and they're huffing and puffing, they don't live as long. They really don't. And if you're someone that's out there right now that has done all these type of different breathwork practices and you're still having alcohol issues and you're giving methods to people that are not really fully thriving and you're still in a loop, again, you are seeing firsthand of what I meant, that you're not just addicted to the actual substance and material, etc. You are addicted to the breathing pattern. So if you're one of those people, I'm here, and definitely go check out some of my stuff on YouTube and try it out for yourself if you're new to my page. What was your diet before becoming breatharian? My diet before becoming breatharian. I mean, it was average American mixed with Jamaican cooked unhealthy oils food. That was my diet until the point where I woke up with all this rash going all the way down to my arm, and I went to so many doctors and nurses, and they read, all they did was like read my pulse, did a few bunch of tests, and still couldn't tell me what was the issue. And then mom gave me some tea to help, belch down the gas that was also inside, but I knew that it was caused by the inflammation from all these different unhealthy foods and oils as well. And that's what actually pushed me into this lifestyle in terms of this journey, actually. And then it was actually until I met my Sifu in California when I lost everything to my business partner. Next to that Bruce Lee statue, there's the community center over there, and they were bringing in speakers from all over the world, and I met a Bigu master, and my Bigu master and Sifu taught me the aspect of cleansing and fasting as well, but more importantly, why the breath is the main foundation. And I took everything I learned from him and mixed everything I learned going to all these different science expos with him as well, and had the privilege of meeting people like Bashar, the Pyramid Man back in the day. I think his name is Nick Edwards, if you guys know who he is. Very brilliant minds, and NASA scholars. And these NASA scholars are the real, you can say, puppeteers behind what you know as NASA, that actually practices these esoteric stuff, if you will. And I mixed everything scientifically with what I know with Bigu and meshed it into what I call alchemy breathwork, to the point where the breath is guiding to all these different experiences, what I gave out to the world, to the point where my Sifu was like, all hands on deck to you. And it's been such a powerful journey and honor to share everything that I have with one-on-ones with you. If you've been to my events, Thank you. And it's mainly the breath that has guided me to this point. You know, I was only with my Sifu for about 6 months, and every day we'd be going at it. And I just expanded beyond, because even some of his stuff that he does with the mouth. And I'm the one that convinced him to be more nasal, because he can get to the point where he'll have white hair, and you can actually see him switch. I saw it with my own too. I switched from white hair to all black hair. That was like the first time seeing something so, you know, tangible and real, and his explanation of how the breath consciousness, how it works in that sense. And what do I mean by breath consciousness? Going back to the quote-unquote silent breath, right? There's no such thing as silent breath. If you ever had the experience of sitting 30 days in darkness, in darkness with no food or no water, you'll see that all you have is the sound of your breath. That's what starts to echo even louder. And a lot of people don't get the time to have that experience. So I can tell you from experience, there is no such thing as a subtle breath. You know what the subtle breath really is? The subtle breath is the practices that you've been doing, and then in resting point, how those practices echo into your normal breathing patterns. That is the real subtle breath. There is no such thing as breathe softer, softer, softer. If I can exhale, you know, if I'm in Breath Dojo mode is where it's a 24-hour experience that we did with the group, and I've done it in person as well, where every 3 hours we do a session, and that's a difference. Can some of these mainstream practices, can you honestly tell me, can you do that every 3 hours? And, you know, be in a parasympathetic state and operate throughout your day? Be honest with me, because some of them you'll crash. You will crash, because if you're in a sympathetic state and you're doing some of those practices, which are somewhat sympathetic, your body compensates. And that's when you feel that crash afterwards. That's why when you do certain methods, that is why you're feeling the crash, because the body, the homeostasis part of the body, it knows that the essence is out here and it's trying to catch up. Where in the alchemy breathwork aspect, we stem from the homeostasis part and build layer by layer by layer by layer by layer by layer by layer. Okay? And there it is, escapism. Ooh, that's a powerful one. Let's pin that one. See, it's interesting why everyone just wants to leave their body. It sounds like escapism. Exactly. This is why I never really harmonized with the aspect of astral projection. You know, you're here for a reason. Now, you can get to the point where your auric field expands, and when that does, your consciousness expands. Where, all right, so when I work with people that does karate or kung fu, right, we do something with the aspect of echo breathing. The echo breathing expands your awareness, where if you know traditional or particular aspects of Japanese karate or different styles of karate, there is one test where they test you, where you sit, you kneel down, and they test you with a wooden sword, and the master will hit you on top of the head, and the main point is for you to dodge it and know when it's coming. How do you build upon that? You build your auric field or your spatial awareness, and that's what the scalar movement also induces as well. You see how everything just comes full circle like a spiral? That's what we focus on in scalar movement as well. And when you get more aware of that, you definitely do not want to just leave your body like people are just willing to do in certain practices. And that's why the breathing part, I've noticed when it comes to plant medicines or plant medicine ceremonies, it's lost. Most plant medicine ceremonies don't even focus on the breath when they should. My first ayahuasca experience, I was mainly going ham with the breathing for the past 10 hours on it. And it was a really powerful blessing. And I'm like, yeah, if I didn't have the breath and just drank it like that, and yes, the Ikaros is powerful. The Ikaros in itself is a form of mirror breathing breath work in a particular sense, because the Ikaros is the medicine music, right? But whoever is singing the medicine music is in a constant state of breathing and flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing. So it's up to you if you're listening to it. The deeper your breath is, the deeper your resonance and essence actually start to connect with the Ikaros. Because what the Ikaros is, and what sound really is just composites of air. So when you're more harmonized with your breath and sound, and as it connects with the Ikaros, you have a deeper journey. And I got to also do a water ceremony here with the powerful water priestess Ida, which is the only water priestess here in Ubud, actually, and she's been initiated. And before we start, what did we do? We did the breathing, and she was like, oh, you're good to go. And she started the mantras and stuff. And the deeper I got with my breath, the more I connected as she was going with the mantras, more and more and more. And then we did the water ceremony afterwards. So starting with the breath, because you came in this life with your first breath. You didn't come in this life with the first ayahuasca drink or plant medicine or whatever. Your first breath is the medicine of the life force to wake you up, right? So why aren't we harmonizing with that more and more as we get older and older and older, right? Because you can have the healthiest diet known to man, but if your breathing is not on point, there's only so much bioavailability you can get from whatever you're eating and whatever you're inducing, and also your environment as well, that's also playing a crucial role on your health. It all is connected. So I definitely invite you all, if you'd like to come to Miami, even if it's for one day, if you're going to become a breath guide, even if it's for one day, you're more than welcome to come to class in person. Even if it's for one day, and you can still do the rest online, that's totally fine. All right, and you still get the certifications, the nose whistle, and also the plasma projectors as well. And my main vision is within 5 years of doing this, we have a whole big ass stadium with plasma projectors, just plasmic field, plasma portals, if you will, in that sense, and really amplify what the breath is doing to this whole world and society, and honor the fact that the breath is alive. Everything is alive. Everything is in contrast. How can the breath restructure the body for someone that does a lot of physical training, mainly recode? So that's a good thing. Let's go over this comment here. So if you notice mouth breathers, over time, their face starts to sag. Nasal breathers, their face starts to become more refined, more inwards. And they even took these two twins. There was a mouth breather, their face starts to sag more and more as they got older. And then you start to see a nasal breather. The other twin that was more nasal breathing, her face starts to be more refined. So your breath, this whole physical body, which is what? Pumped by the blood, but what pumps the blood? Your breath pumps 70% of your blood. The rest, you can say, is actually by external pressure. Even the sun helps you produce more nitric oxide, helps to induce the blood vessels, help dilate, etc. So that also helps as well. But 70% is pumped by your breath. 70% of your body's makeup is by your breath pattern. That back pain you feel could be also due to poor breathing habits. That back pain you feel, even though you're sitting for hours a day, if you have proper breathing patterns, like I've been privileged to go into all these different companies and teach them how to breathe, you won't have issues in your back. Because it's the pressure that it's inducing in your spine over and over, and it's imprinting on your spine as time goes on. That pressure is information, and that is what the breath is doing. It's imprinting on your body 24/7, 365. So how are you connecting with your breath is how you are connecting with your body. So if you're breathing in a disharmonious way with disharmonious thoughts, what do you think is imprinting on your body? And then you complain about different diseases or different pains, different aches, why you can't do this anymore as you get older. Because all those times of disharmonious breaths, it starts to pile on. And that's what alchemy breathwork we harmonize and we emphasize with. And that's why I always push people to do the breathing randomly throughout the day, because life is random. There's no such thing as a perfect life, right? Life is random. So the more you play with the breath randomly, keyword play, the more you're gonna have a longevity practice over time, right? I was in the Philippines, and you saw that testimonial with Alex, and like, what are the odds? He's like 10 minutes down the street from me, and all the synchronicities start to happen where he's actually about to be 33, and on our way there, even to the resort area, it was 3 hours, and the battery percentage was 33%, and it's just beautiful how this is a lifestyle, how the breath becomes a lifestyle, and you see how everything is connected, and the main foundation to keep that connection so you don't go have that psychosis. Because in the quote-unquote spiritual community or healing community, not everyone, but most people start to get lost, more up here, when the breath and the parasympathetic aspect of the breath, keeps you grounded and gets you to see the full picture of everything, versus just being too woo-woo up here, right? I could not have created crystal lenses, do all these plasmic events, and created what I've created over the years if my head was, all too woo-woo, if you will, with all due respect, It's so important to have a foundation connected to all different worlds. And what has allowed me to connect with so many different worlds, with so many different people, is the foundation of harmonizing with my breath. And I wish that for every single one of you to be more connected in harmonizing with your breath, and honor the fact that it has so many layers of dimension of reality. The breath is electric, and the aspect of dielectric, beyond the electric aspect, dielectricity is the understanding of magnetism, where it's not just, what we know as electricity, but there's also the plus and the negative part. The polarity is so important. So we can use the breath to go one deep extreme of the polarity while still maintaining the other layer of the polarity. And then when you mesh them together, and what that does to your consciousness as a whole, as you walk throughout life, you can connect with different paths and where you really want to go. That's why I always ask you, what are you breathing life into? That's not a figure of speech. Seriously, what are you breathing life into? Always ask yourself that question. Let's see some of the questions here. Exactly, yeah. Being in a metal box does not help either. Yeah, this is recorded, no worries. This is actually going to be the main video I'm going to add on to the Breath Guide page, so people can rewatch this and see what that entails. Alright, any more questions? Facts. I stopped doing breath work. Oh man, let's pin this comment. Yeah, he said he stopped doing the breath work and his back pain came back. Alright. Alright, can you go a bit in depth about smoking marijuana? Or do you have a post on that? I do not have a post on that. But I will say, we just came out with the infinite spiral ignition. You guys saw the spiral lighter. And I have a feeling that when it comes to smoking marijuana as well, or the that plant medicine, it's, the fact that you're lighting it up with butane and those matches that has different like phosphorus and different chemicals or whatever. In my opinion, I feel like that also is inducing all the other quote unquote harmful effects that they say Mary J has in that sense when you're inhaling and smoking it. Because 4,000 plus years ago, when especially the Hindus, when they were experimenting with it, there were no such recordings of some of the ailments that came with it. Also, yeah, you can say it is also the plant itself and how it's grown, blah, blah, blah. But man, if you're my Rasta friends, listen, my brother. If you are burn some chemicals on the plant medicine and you're inhaling that, what do you think is going to happen? With all due respect, what do you think is going to happen? It's not just, even the hemp wicks. Even if you burn the hemp wicks, you're still burning butane, you're still burning certain chemicals. It's still within there. And then you're still lighting up whatever you're lighting up. You're inhaling those chemicals. All right. So, also, if you'd like to also dive into plasma as well, the plasma lighters, DM me, or just comment plasma lighter, and I got you. So another thing as well, there's a difference when it comes to what do they call that? Rosin. So I learned about rosin where they take the herb and they dry freeze it and they just press it, and that's what makes the yellow goo or whatever. And there's a company called Puffco where you put the rosin into the Puffco and it heats up with a ceramic. I'm like, oh, that sounds way cleaner than burning a butane, burning XYZ chemicals onto the plant medicine, even down to your incense. You burning chemicals and such of that nature and then inhaling it. What do you think is happening, man? I don't think that deserves to be in a plant ceremony, in my opinion. Those chemicals don't belong in plant ceremonies. So when that sister was looking at me when I came with my scalar scalar plates and stuff in the ayahuasca ceremony, like, oh, you're bringing that here, you're wearing your things here, and meanwhile she's burning XYZ over there, and I'm like, why you gotta judge me like that? And meanwhile, we're just so lost and disconnected. That's the aspect of the colonial mindset. It's, because in ancient times and even today, when you look at these ceremonies, why are you making certain patterns in the middle of the ceremony? What do you think that is? That is scalar. You're making a particular pattern on the earth grid that is electromagnetic. That is scalar. So I'm honored that some of you have actually brought some of the scalar material into these ceremonies and given me the beautiful feedback you have to awaken a lost consciousness in this art that we're doing and giving to the people and having this experience of that awareness and understanding. I think that's so important. It's time, man. It's time we go full throttle. It's time we take all these technologies and use it for the benefit of our being and have fun with it. And that's another thing. If you're not having fun with it, is it truly gonna last? And that is also a pillar of alchemy breathwork we stand on. We stand on wisdom. They say we stand on business. No, we stand on wisdom here. We stand on wisdom. Thank you for the badge love, by the way. Yeah, guys, when I repost this, if you are interested in, let me see if I can find it if you haven't seen it already. I do want to show you this 1,000-year-old tree. Oh my gosh. If you haven't seen it, there's this 1,000-year-old tree that I got to stand on. How long does it take for a projector to ship? We'll be back around January 12th. So we'll start shipping again around that time. Ouch. Damn, see? Yeah, when you're burning butane, when you're burning different chemicals on those plant medicines and smoking those plant medicines, yeah, it's gonna block your alveoli in terms of your lungs. And what the alveoli is, it's a little pocket parts of your lungs. So that's another thing we emphasize in alchemy breathwork is the aspect of expansion, the exhale, elongating that more and more, and different ways of doing that. And not everyone can do a particular breath pattern, right? So that's why it's beautiful to have many options and different understanding of why those options exist, so you can meet your client where they're at and really expand on that. But let me see if I can find this real quick. Oh yeah, here's Ida, by the way. Very powerful. If you ever have the opportunity to come here, she's worth it. She's so worth it. I've had dreams that connected me here, so it's literally a dream come true, if you will. I've known about Ida for over 11 plus years, and over the years I've had dreams of doing that water ceremony, and here I am in great timing, because my friend, she owns a retreat center out here as well, and yeah, I got a lot of plans in place that I'm gonna put into action by the time I get home, because by the time we get home, it won't just be Devon, it'll be a team of that's all I can say. It'll be a bigger team. That's all I want to give right now. Let's see, where is it at? Not sure if this is it. Yeah, so here's in slow motion. If you can see the plasma going in a spiral. I also personally use it as a mini meditation as well. And I know I haven't shown videos of people using it to blaze or burn things. I'm going to post that later. Bear with me. But it's plasma. Instead of using butane, instead of using, all the other chemical-induced combustions on your plant medicines, why aren't we using plasma? Plasma was known in ancient times, down to the Vajra was technically a plasmic event. And if you look at ancient petroglyphs and you match them side by side with plasma discharge, they correlate. So all the talk about, oh, there's aliens on the wall, there's this and that, someone go tell forbidden knowledge. Look at the plasma discharge, man. It's side by side. It's right there. Forget it. It doesn't always have to be just because we don't understand it, it's all of a sudden aliens. Man, we were so connected with nature that we knew that taking this plasma discharge and molding it, mimicking the symmetry and the geometry of that plasma discharge to create vajras, to create so many different things in the ancient world that echoes in today, by the way. Our solar flames plasma. Yes, the sun is plasma. Bingo. The sun is plasma itself. So why aren't we using more plasmic technologies? And I think also low-key Tesla wanted to create a plasmic, more rich environment and recreate the times of old, where I asked my friend Happy Needle, that is the acupuncturist that's also blasting the plasma while you're doing acupuncture. I asked him, do they have copper needles out there, for the acupuncture stuff? He's like, yes, they are well known. They do exist. So I'm like, all right, if that were true in ancient times, in ancient Chinese medicine and in ancient African medicine as well, they were using those acupuncture points, and they didn't really have to, either they connected with the tree, you can connect a copper wire and connect to the tree that way, or we honor the fact that years ago the density of plasmic events was so high and the atmosphere was more ionized that you could have all those acupuncture points and still feel even more of this stimulation that way as well. And fast forward today, obviously we don't live in that environment anymore. So of course we have to use things like plasma projectors, or I have ideas where you can just connect a copper wire into those acupuncture points and connect to the earth. That's one way of doing it as well. I feel it's more practical in modern times, obviously, to use a plasma projector and hit those points. Now, we're not going to talk about speculations on here. Someone goes, you're so necessary. Hey, each one of us interacting right now, this is necessary. It's not just me, it is we. And I also, I definitely want to emphasize that everyone on here that has shared my stuff with anyone, the knowledge, thank you. Honestly, really thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, because we're creating waves here, and that's what's important. We are creating waves. It's not just me. I can't do this alone. And that's why I'm doing the breath guide training. And apologies if all these years, people were pushing me like, hey, when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? April 2024, it's happening. And I just wanted to do it the right way. I didn't want to, go the commercialized route and do it how everyone else is doing it. I want to do it Devon's way, but more in a harmonic way that makes sense for everybody, that everyone can really fully feel what we're going to be putting out here. And specifically that deviated septum. Not many breath schools are really tackling that deviated septum. And we're really going to tackle that deviated septum. I'm even going to really use marketers the right way in this sense. Because all these marketers, they want to come to me and be like, hey, we can market it this way, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, are you ready to do some breath work so you know what I'm marketing? No, right? So with the deviated septum, actually, if you are someone that wants to be a breath guide and you are into marketing as well, let's chat, because we can definitely have a target audience when it comes to specifically people who are dealing with deviated septums, because they don't know where to turn, especially after surgery. They're still complaining. They're still suicidal. People need to look at the suicidal rates when it comes to deviated septum. There's a staggering connection there. It's your life force. Not being able to fully breathe in that spiral through your nose, and the brain takes in the oxygen first. So when you have a deviated septum and you can't, breathe with what God has given you, or the all that is have given you, it feels like you're disconnected from it. And that plays a toll on the person mentally. And that's an issue, we're really going to tackle, y'all. Someone goes, do I still need to buy organic if I bought the projector? Hey, we'll say that for a different live. Let's focus on the breath guides. Any more questions? Let's see, any more questions here? Have you heard about, yes, I've heard about that type of water. Hey, much love, Andy. The jam is jamming. Yeah, you guys hear the the echo in the back, the music? All right, any more questions? What's your thought about exhaling through the mouth? There's a time and a place. I mean, technically when you're talking, you're exhaling through the mouth, right? Hey, Daniel, I already talked about that, but if everyone can see Daniel's comment, that's the lawsuit I'm talking about. I'm not going to say the name via video here, but if everyone can see live, I'll pin his comment. So what do I think about that? And that is, you go look it up. The last 3 words of what he said, lawsuit. Just type in 1, 2, 3, lawsuit. You'll see a lot of things come up. You'll see a lot of debts come up, that if you're going to lead people this way of of breathing, etc., method, etc., you need to come out full circle and tell people what's going on and why this is happening. Stick to longevity practices, not trends. If it's for longevity, it's for you. If it's not for longevity, think of it as a point in time. Maybe you may need it in certain points of time. You know, I truly, I don't want to talk too much down on it. I feel like it's a great way of introduction, you know, and even this person right now, apparently he's dealing with alcoholism himself, like he's drinking and all that stuff. So, like I said, you see, it's not just the physical substance, it's the breathing pattern, and that's a type of breathing pattern that he likes to do, and yet he has an alcohol problem, okay? So there's a heavy correlation when it comes to food addiction, substance addiction, and mouth breathing. They correlate heavily because when you mouth breathe, your certain receptors in your nostrils, or not just here, but all the way from here, it goes all the way up here, start to turn off when you mouth breathe. So when all of certain muscle fibers start to turn off because you're not nasal breathing, then what do you think starts to happen with certain connections, with certain traumas, certain addictions? Again, it starts to induce heavy on the person over time. And especially when you're in that space and, there's so many distractions at the same time, even though you may be leading people XYZ, it starts to pick up, I have certain distractions around that point too. And I'm blessed to have that solid foundation to keep me, again, here. I'm not too woo-woo up here or out in that sense. Okay, I don't do band-aids. Someone was asking, do you have any quick tips for the deviated septums? That's the thing. I'm not about band-aids. I'm about longevity practices. No more band-aids. At what time do you wake up? I do not use alarm clocks. And pranayama is a bit different than alchemy breathwork. Go type in Pranayama Master Alchemy Breathwork Testimonial, and we went over it a little bit. We even did it live. Hey, that's perfect. Like I said, it's a nice intro. I feel like, because it's mainstream, it's out there, So I feel like it's an okay intro to the breath. At least you know what's capable of your breath inducing different states, and that's perfectly fine. Over the years, you will start to see what I've been preaching about over the years, where unfortunately this lawsuit will have to happen to show you that, hey, yeah, certain styles of breathing induces certain styles of different states, and is it really for longevity? Can you do it? Can you do this particular practice for over 24 hours? Even doctors have been looking at this particular method as well, and immediately they like, man, this is not for longevity, And I think that was my also gate opening, my gateway of being able to do all the different brain studies that they did on me, because of what I've been preaching about, the aspect of parasympathetic, just nasal breathing, longevity, and I felt like that was a gateway. So, I'm grateful for all the stuff that he's been doing and what he's put out there in terms of consciousness. And don't get me wrong, there's, that method is still a great intro in the aspect of, instead of, doing XYZ that is more detrimental to health, So at least people are still connecting with their breath in that regard. Truth always comes to light, 2024. Hey, man. Hey, that's the age we're in. It's about time. It's about time. Do you teach how to fix deviated septums in your Breath Family subscription? Not yet. After after the breath guide certifications, I will maybe around in a few months after, we'll start to put out small content going over that. But honestly, I'm really focused on the breath guide training. And even if you're a yoga teacher, this is going to amplify your practices, especially the scalar movement aspect, because we're going to go over how you can implement scalar movement and why it's such a lost art when it comes to traditional yoga today, in a sense. And I can even trace and show you that it was actually once part of yoga, how it once was part of Qigong, how it once was part of Qigong, and why is it not being used today. But in particularly, specifically in Japan, they do know about this in the aspect of scalar movement, and it's more, I feel like it's more of a language barrier. That's why it's not out in the mainstream. Over 6 years, Toki. Yeah, over 6 years, Toki. So, yeah, any more questions that we got? Let's see. Hey, Aya. I'm glad I said no to surgery to correct the deviated septum. Amen. Hey, Funky. Hey, brother. Funky. They used him to tear down the practice. Tumo. Yeah, because it stems from Tumo, actually. And he doesn't even really acknowledge Tumo as much, which he should. But even I acknowledge the Bigu practices in a particular sense, and some Bigu practices they use the mouth and stuff, and I stemmed away from that. Like I said, I even got my mentor to be more nasal breathing in that sense. Does this help with asthma? Yes, it does. I have many asthmatic testimonials on my YouTube as well. Just type in asthma, or no, actually just go on my YouTube, and I'm sure you can search my channel. Just type in testimonials. I actually have a playlist of testimonials. It's like all there. Over 60 plus videos of testimonials. I like how the spiral energies is right here. Can y'all feel it? What's your thought on DMT alcohol? Hey, I went over that. I went over that. That can you do that for 24 hours? Is it longevity? Oh, here's another good question. Do you tape your mouth? So I'm going to end it here and answer this question here. So instead of mouth taping, something to get you in the aspect of how we think in alchemy breathwork, instead of mouth taping, you can actually smile to sleep and breathe only with the nose, longer exhales, of course. But smiling to sleep helps your muscle memory echo into the subconscious and the conscious. So when you're smiling, that's like the last muscle you're inducing back and forth. And it's also releasing some serotonin as well, especially if you're harmonizing your breath and smile. So when you're doing the serotonin breathing, on your exhales, you smile. On your inhales, relax. Exhale, smile. Inhale, relax. Exhale, smile. Inhale, relax. And what you're doing is, again, you're harmonizing with the aspect of contrast. You don't want to just hold a smile. And we'll also go over different things that in yoga they tell you to hold this spot, hold that part, hold that spot. And why not implement contrast where you can feel more of the energy in that sense? And I'll go over the first aspect of yoga when they first were, quote unquote, creating yoga, of why they held a particular spot for hours and why they didn't go through, move here, move like this, move like that, why they didn't do that. I'll go over why it was like that and why and how it connected with the breath. All right. Thank you all for sharing the breath. And I'm going to post this. And when I post this, comment guide. If you want more info on the breath guide, again, we do payment plans. We also do scholarships as well, especially if I've done one-on-one with you as well. You already have my blessings for a scholarship, etc. So that's there. And if you would like an infinite spiral ignition, comment breathing progress, and we'll get to you guys. Have a breathful day, everyone. Check your DMs afterwards. Peace.